Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Rolene Marks. This is the Israel Brief. You guys join me here every Monday to Thursday for your top stories from Israel. As always, the Israel Brief is brought to you by Lay of the Land. I want to preface today's Israel Brief. I am going to be speaking about the report released last night by the UN Special Envoy on sexual violence. It may be triggering or difficult for some viewers to watch. So please note that this is the content that I will be addressing, and I understand if some of you don't want to watch. But let's get on with the top stories. It is day 151 of Israel's war with Hamas, which means that it is day 151 that hostages have been kept in captivity by Hamas terrorists. We begin with the top story. As I just mentioned, the United Nations Special Envoy on sexual violence, Pramila Patten, released her statement. This is the investigation that she and her team engaged in just a couple of weeks ago when they were in Israel, speaking to investigators, speaking to survivors, and combing through at least 50 hours of footage and over 5,000 images and photographs. At the time, she said that her team couldn't sleep after what they had seen, and we welcome the 24-page report. On the 7th of October, the world looked on in horror as we saw Shani Look, her body on the back of a pickup truck, being paraded through the Gaza Strip, her legs obviously broken. You could see the bullet hole on the base of her skull being spat on and kicked by Palestinian men. We also saw Naama Levy, who is still in captivity, being dragged by the hair, blood all over the crotch area of her pants. And I remember saying to my husband, I hope to God she hasn't been sexually violated. This report brings absolute and irrefutable proof, along with the report published last week by ACRI, that is the Association of Rape Crisis Centers in Israel, about the atrocities, the crimes against humanity and sexual violence committed against Israeli women and girls. And according to the testimonies of some of the hostages that have been released, some of our young men as well. In the press conference, and I actually have a copy of the report, it is available for you online. If you do want to see it, all you have to do is Google the UN Special Envoy report on sexual violence on the 7th of October. It presents clear evidence of the crimes of rape, sexual violence, torture, mutilation, and murder on the 7th of October. It also talks about how the sexual assaults took place simultaneously in a variety of areas, and also proves and cites the eyewitness testimony of former hostages that this was still continuing while women and girls are being held captive by Hamas. Patton called for a full-fledged investigation into these atrocities committed against Israeli women and girls. And President Herzog welcomed the report, saying it is with moral clarity that this has been reported, and called on the international community to respond accordingly. Israel's Ministry of Foreign Affairs also welcomed the report and said that we have definitive and true recognition of the crimes of sexual violence that occurred on the 7th of October. And it also proves that these crimes happened simultaneously in different locations to many, many different women. Now, there has been some controversy. It has been reported that the UN chief, that Secretary General Antonio Guterres, actually tried to downplay or silence the report. In response, Israel's Foreign Minister Israel Katz has recalled our ambassador, Gilad Erdan, who's our ambassador to the United Nations, to protest this. Now, staying on the issue of sexual violence and crimes against humanity committed against Israeli women, And I want to speak to you for a minute as an Israeli woman. We have been met by women's organizations, by feminists, and by the world with a wall of silence. I am asking you, I am begging you, as our friends, as our allies, as our community, to please go out there and tell the stories of what happened to Israeli women and girls. Please be their voices. Their voices have been silenced, most of them forever. Even the survivors may never come forward. So severe is their trauma. So we are asking you to bear witness and to speak on their behalf. Last night, Rear Admiral Daniel Hagari, he is the senior spokesperson of the Israel Defense Forces, in a press conference released declassified conversations that show how several UNRWA, this is United Nations Relief Works Agency employees, were involved in the kidnapping of Israeli women. In the conversations where you can hear them laughing and being full of glee, they speak about sabaya. Sabaya is the Arabic word for a female captive, and how they were noble horses to be ridden, and that they had taken them as captives, celebrating this. For the first time, I saw Rear Admiral Hagari look visibly just distraught. He spoke personally. He said, I'm a father of 2 girls, and when I hear this, I tremble. He also spoke about the situation that our women and girls who are still being held captive are being held in. He says that we are worried they are in very, very real danger. He said our girls are in real danger. And he spoke about the moral imperative of the IDF to continue to work to free our hostages, and reiterated once again that humanitarian aid will continue to go in, that there is no cap, no limit on the humanitarian aid that we are sending in, and just how distraught we are to see the humanitarian crisis that is developing in the Gaza Strip, and that our war is not with the people of Gaza but with Hamas. We can only assume how they treat Palestinian women given how they have treated Israeli women. We now go to South Africa, where South Africa's Minister of International Relations, Naledi Pandor, yesterday in Parliament reiterated that the country does not recognize Hamas as a terrorist organization. Now, Hamas is recognized as a terrorist organization by the international community and is proscribed by many countries, including the United States, the United Kingdom, Australia, Japan, and others, which means that if you are a supporter of Hamas, you can be arrested. She was responding to questions put forward in a parliamentary session that asked questions about South Africa's solidarity with the Palestinian people. And from our perspective, you can show solidarity with the Palestinian people, but why show solidarity and support for a terror organization that holds both Palestinians and Israelis hostage with their acts of terror, threats, and intimidation? And I also want to just stress from our side that we know that this is not a reflection of the people of South Africa and what they feel about the state of Israel. And finally, on a positive note, it is March. March is Women's History Month. Friday will be International Women's Day. And I wanted to end today's broadcast on a positive note. All the ballots have been counted from last week's municipal elections, and we congratulate the central Israeli town of Shoham, just a few minutes drive from where I am in Modi'in, for being the first city to have a majority female city council. Well done, ladies, and well done, Shoham. And that brings me to the end of today's edition of the Israel Brief. Please don't forget to check out our website at www.layoftheland.online. Our Facebook page is at Lottel's site. Our YouTube channel is at the Israel Brief. You guys know what to do. Like, share, subscribe. And we are on X at Lay of the Land 5. Guys, take care of yourselves. Take care of each other. And I will see you again tomorrow. Bye for now.